What if dreams could be recorded? The human brain generates approximately 6 dreams per night, most fade within minutes of waking. Some linger as fragments, half-remembered narratives that dissolve like mist under scrutiny. For all of human history, these nocturnal experiences have remained locked inside individual consciousness, impossible to verify, impossible to share, impossible to prove. Until now. A laboratory in Kyoto makes the breakthrough, not through invasive surgery or chemical intervention, but through a combination of functional magnetic resonance imaging, machine learning algorithms, and quantum computing power that finally cracks the pattern. The research team, working in relative obscurity for nearly a decade, develops a headset that reads neural activity during REM sleep and translates those signals into visual and auditory data. The first recording lasts 11 seconds. A blurry image of a childhood bedroom, distorted and abstract, but unmistakably real. The dreamer confirms every detail, the wallpaper pattern, the position of the window, the toy that sat on the shelf. Within 8 months, the technology moves from prototype to product. The headset requires no implants, no medication, just a fitted device worn during sleep that syncs with a processing unit about the size of a laptop. Early models cost $40,000. Within 2 years, the price drops to $8,000, then $3,000. Consumer electronics companies race to produce their own versions. The patent battles begin immediately, but the fundamental principle is out there now, and dozens of labs worldwide refine the process, improve the resolution, extend the recording time. People start uploading their dreams to social media. At first, it's a novelty. Friends share bizarre nightscapes, impossible architecture, dead relatives speaking in metaphor. The videos get millions of views. Psychologists appear on morning television to discuss what these recordings reveal about the collective unconscious. Artists embrace dream recording as a new medium, crafting installations from curated dream sequences. Film students mine their own subconscious for footage. The line between documentary and fiction blurs. But then the implications start to surface. A woman in Portland records a dream where she's attacked in a parking garage. 3 nights later, she's assaulted in that exact location, wearing the same clothes by a man whose face she saw in the dream. The case makes international headlines. Precognitive dreams, once dismissed as coincidence or false memory, now have evidence. Researchers scramble to explain it. Most dismiss the Portland case as statistical inevitability, given millions of people now recording dreams every night. Some coincidences will seem impossible. But more cases follow. A man dreams of a car crash on a specific highway and avoids that route, only to see the accident reported on the news exactly as he described it. A child dreams of finding a lost dog and leads her parents to the animal the next day. The scientific community splits. One faction insists these are selection bias, that thousands of dreams predict events that never happen, but people only remember and share the ones that come true. Another faction begins exploring quantum theories of consciousness, suggesting dreams might access probabilistic futures or information beyond normal sensory perception. The debate rages in academic journals, but the public has already decided. Dream interpretation becomes a serious business again, not with crystal balls and fortune tellers, but with data analysts and AI programs that scan millions of recorded dreams looking for patterns, for signals in the noise. Insurance companies take notice first. Life insurance providers begin requesting dream recordings as part of their risk assessment. If someone repeatedly dreams of illness, of accidents, of death, their premiums increase. Privacy advocates fight this in court, arguing that dreams are protected mental activity, but insurance companies counter that they're simply using available data to calculate risk, no different than asking about family medical history or lifestyle choices. Some courts side with the insurers, others don't. The legal landscape becomes a patchwork of contradictory rulings. Employers start asking for dream recordings during hiring processes. A financial firm wants to screen for candidates who dream about numbers, about patterns, about success. A security company wants guards who don't dream about violence or losing control. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission tries to regulate this, but the laws lag behind the technology. Companies find workarounds. They don't require dream recordings. They just offer significantly higher salaries to applicants who voluntarily provide them. Technically legal, ethically murky. The criminal justice system faces an unprecedented challenge. A murder suspect's dream recordings show him killing the victim exactly as she died, down to specific details never released to the public. Is this a confession? Is it evidence of guilt? Or is it a subconscious processing of news reports, of speculation, of anxiety? Defense attorneys argue that dreams are not reliable indicators of action or intent, that nightmares don't make someone a criminal. Prosecutors argue that guilty knowledge manifests in dreams, that the unconscious mind can't lie. Juries struggle with the question. Some convict based partially on dream evidence, some acquit despite it. Then a more disturbing pattern emerges. People begin experiencing dreams that aren't their own. At first, these cases are rare and poorly documented. A teenager in Mumbai wakes with vivid memories of flying over Paris, a city she's never visited, seeing landmarks from angles impossible for a tourist. She describes architectural details later confirmed by urban planners. A businessman in Chicago dreams an entire conversation in Japanese, a language he doesn't speak, and when the recording is analyzed, it's grammatically perfect, discussing topics he has no knowledge of. Researchers initially suspect equipment malfunction, cross-contamination of signals, but the phenomenon persists across different devices, different manufacturers. The theory that develops is almost too strange to accept, but the evidence accumulates. Human consciousness, during the vulnerable state of REM sleep, might be less isolated than previously thought. The dream recording technology doesn't just capture neural signals, it might amplify them, broadcast them, create a kind of proximity-based network. People sleeping in the same building, the same neighborhood, occasionally tap into each other's dreams. Most of the time, the content is mundane and dismissed as imagination, but sometimes the specificity is undeniable. Governments begin to recognize the security implications. Military installations ban dream recording devices within a 5-mile radius. Intelligence agencies worry about classified information leaking through dreams. An analyst falls asleep reviewing satellite imagery and dreams about troop movements in a contested border region. Someone in the adjacent apartment records their own dreams and captures fragments of his. The breach is discovered during a routine social media scan. The analyst faces court-martial. The neighbor, who had no idea they'd recorded anything sensitive, gets visited by federal agents. Tech companies develop dream encryption, devices that scramble the outgoing neural signal so it can only be decoded by the dreamer's personal account. This helps, but it's not perfect. Hackers find ways to intercept the data stream. Black markets emerge for celebrity dreams, for the dreams of politicians, of scientists, of anyone whose inner life might be valuable or scandalous. A leaked dream from a presidential candidate shows racist imagery, subconscious biases the candidate consciously rejects but can't control in sleep. The campaign collapses. Political operatives start hiring people to sleep near opposition candidates, trying to capture leaked dream content. The mental health crisis arrives gradually, then suddenly. Therapists report exponential increases in patients suffering from dream-related anxiety. People watch their own recordings and feel disturbed by what their subconscious creates. Dark fantasies, violent impulses, sexual content involving inappropriate people. The recordings force confrontation with parts of the psyche that were previously deniable, dismissible as fleeting thoughts that didn't count, but now they're saved, time-stamped, potentially shareable. People begin suffering from a new form of shame, a horror at their own minds. Suicide rates among dream recording users tick upward. People can't handle the cognitive dissonance between their waking values and their sleeping thoughts. Support groups form. Therapists develop new treatment protocols. The prevailing advice becomes to stop recording, but for many it's too late. They've already seen what they can't unsee. Some become obsessed with controlling their dreams, using lucid dreaming techniques to sanitize their subconscious, to perform even in sleep. The mental effort required is exhausting. Sleep quality plummets. Religious institutions grapple with theological implications. If dreams are recorded and potentially shared, are they still private thoughts? Are people morally responsible for their dreams? Traditional teachings about sin and thought vary widely between faiths, and the question of dream content creates new schisms. Some denominations declare that dreams are sacred and should never be recorded, that doing so violates the sanctity of the God-given unconscious mind. Others embrace dream recording as a tool for spiritual growth, a way to examine one's soul and identify areas needing prayer or improvement. A few extremist groups declare that recorded dreams can identify the irredeemable, those whose subconscious is too corrupted for salvation. The entertainment industry undergoes a revolution. Films can now incorporate actual dream footage, creating hybrid works that blend directed narrative with authentic unconscious imagery. The aesthetic is initially jarring, but audiences adapt. Dream sequences in movies become literally dreamlike, drawn from real recordings. Actors sell their dreams alongside their performances. A-list celebrities can command hundreds of thousands for a single night's dream recording, if it's particularly vivid or relevant to a project. Studios hire dream directors, people who work with actors to seed specific content before sleep through pre-sleep suggestion, hypnosis, targeted sensory input. A darker side of entertainment emerges: dream pornography. People sell recordings of sexual dreams, and unlike traditional pornography, these videos capture genuine unconscious desire, unscripted and raw. The ethical debates are fierce. Is it exploitation if someone volunteers their own dreams? What if the dream features people who didn't consent to appear in it? A woman discovers her face appears in thousands of recorded sex dreams from strangers. She sues for violation of likeness rights. The case reaches appellate courts. The ruling is inconclusive, jurisdictionally dependent. Education systems begin incorporating dream analysis into curriculum. Students learn to record and examine their dreams for problem-solving capabilities. There's evidence that the sleeping mind can work through complex mathematical proofs, can visualize scientific concepts in novel ways. A physics student dreams the solution to a problem that stumped her for weeks. A composer hears a complete symphony in a dream and transcribes it, note for note. Schools pilot programs where students record dreams before exams, and teachers review the recordings to identify who needs additional help based on stress dreams versus confident dreams. But children's dreams present ethical complications. Parents record their young children's dreams without understanding the implications. A 5-year-old's nightmare, full of primal fears and childish misunderstandings, gets shared online. Pediatric psychologists warn against recording children's dreams, arguing that kids need privacy to process emotions and experiences without adult scrutiny. But parents insist they need to monitor for signs of abuse, of trauma, of problems at school. The debate over parental rights versus child privacy intensifies. Law enforcement discovers a problematic pattern. Criminals start avoiding dream recording altogether, creating a new class divide. The wealthy and law-abiding record their dreams for health monitoring, for entertainment, for insurance benefits. The criminal element goes dark, sleeping in shielded rooms, avoiding the technology entirely. This makes dream data a marker of trustworthiness. People without dream recordings face discrimination. Landlords prefer tenants who share their sleep data. Dating apps introduce dream compatibility matching, and users without recordings are filtered out by default. A prison system pilot program mandates dream recording for all inmates. The recordings are reviewed by AI systems trained to identify antisocial patterns, violent ideation, escape planning. Parole boards consider dream content when evaluating release applications. An inmate who dreams peaceful dreams, who shows subconscious rehabilitation, gets early release. Another, whose dreams remain violent despite years of good behavior, stays incarcerated. Civil rights organizations call this a human rights violation, punishing people for thoughts they can't control. Supporters argue it's simply recognizing that true change happens at the unconscious level, and dream data provides the most honest assessment of rehabilitation. The advertising industry achieves a breakthrough that privacy experts call catastrophic. By analyzing millions of dream recordings, marketing firms identify subconscious desire patterns. They learn what imagery triggers positive associations, what fears can be exploited, what aspirations live deep in the psyche. Advertisements become unnervingly effective, targeting not just conscious preferences, but unconscious vulnerabilities. People find themselves buying products they don't remember wanting, responding to marketing that speaks directly to their sleeping mind. Regulations attempt to limit this, but the data is already out there, analyzed and weaponized. Then the geopolitical implications manifest. Intelligence agencies realize that dream recordings provide unprecedented insight into foreign populations. By analyzing aggregate dream data from specific regions, they can assess collective psychological states. A population dreaming about food shortages might indicate supply chain problems. Dreams featuring military imagery might suggest conscription fears or war preparation. Nations begin treating dream data as classified information, restricting its export, criminalizing the sharing of citizen dreams with foreign entities. A diplomatic incident occurs when a foreign minister's dreams are leaked, showing deep-seated contempt for an ally nation and fantasies of territorial expansion. The minister claims the dreams don't represent policy, but the damage is done. Trust erodes, treaties are questioned. Other governments demand dream recordings from their own officials as proof of loyalty and honest intent. Politicians face an impossible choice between privacy and credibility. Philosophers and neuroscientists collaborate on the consciousness problem that dream recording exposes. If dreams can be recorded, extracted from the brain, and converted to external media, what does that mean for the nature of consciousness itself? Is subjective experience reducible to data patterns? The recordings suggest yes, but something feels wrong about that conclusion. People watch their own dreams and report that the recording doesn't capture the full experience, that something ineffable is lost in translation. Yet the recordings are detailed enough to be convincing to others. The hard problem of consciousness gets harder. A subset of researchers proposes something radical. What if you could not just record dreams, but play them back into someone else's brain? The technology for this is theoretical, but not impossible. If neural signals can be read and recorded, perhaps they can be written and transmitted. Early experiments with simple patterns show promise. A person falls asleep wearing a modified headset and experiences fragments of someone else's dream, not as a video they're watching, but as an experience they're having. The sensation is profoundly disorienting, but undeniably real. The implications cascade. Could therapy involve sharing healing dreams with trauma patients? Could education involve experiential learning during sleep, living through historical events via recorded period dreams? Could interrogation involve forced dream playback, making suspects experience scenarios designed to elicit confession? The technology is crude, but it's coming. Regulatory frameworks don't exist. Ethical guidelines are being frantically drafted by committees that can barely keep up with the pace of development. A black market for dream experiences emerges. People pay to experience the dreams of others, seeking novelty, seeking escape from their own minds. Adventure dreams from extreme sports athletes, creative dreams from artists. Even mundane dreams from people living in different cultures become commodified. Addiction patterns develop. Some users prefer living through others' dreams to experiencing their own lives. They sleep 12, 14, 16 hours a day, cycling through purchased dream experiences, neglecting work, relationships, basic needs. Medical applications prove more beneficial. Recurring nightmares can be edited out through targeted neural intervention during sleep. PTSD patients experience reduction in symptoms when traumatic dreams are intercepted and modified in real time. Pain patients report that pleasant dreams reduce their subjective pain experience. Coma patients show increased neural activity when played dreams from loved ones, suggesting some level of consciousness might be reached through dream transmission. The medical ethics boards approve these applications cautiously, aware of the potential for abuse but recognizing genuine therapeutic value. A philosophical movement emerges arguing for dream abstinence, for a return to the unrecorded unconscious. They call themselves naturalists, and they advocate for destroying dream recording technology entirely. They argue that humanity evolved to have private, unexamined dreams for a reason, that the unconscious needs space to process without observation, that the act of recording changes the nature of dreaming itself. They cite studies showing that people who regularly record their dreams begin to dream differently, more narratively, more performatively, as if their sleeping mind is aware of the audience. The unconscious becomes self-conscious, and something essential is lost. These naturalists face opposition from transhumanists who believe dream recording is an inevitable step in human cognitive evolution. They argue that private consciousness is a primitive limitation, that full transparency of thought is the future, that only through shared mental experience can humanity overcome tribalism and prejudice. If everyone could experience everyone else's dreams, could walk in another's mental shoes, empathy would become automatic. The debate is fierce and increasingly political. Governments begin to fracture along these lines. Some nations ban dream recording technology, declaring it a threat to human dignity and mental sovereignty. Others mandate it, requiring citizens to record and submit dreams for public health monitoring, for security screening, for social credit assessment. A new form of authoritarianism emerges, one that doesn't just control speech and action, but reaches into sleep itself. Dissidents are identified by subversive dream content. Re-education programs involve forced dream playback, attempting to override resistant patterns of thought. Underground networks develop in restrictive nations, helping people shield their sleeping minds, providing black market devices that create false dream recordings to submit while preserving actual dreams in hidden memory. The resistance literally fights for the right to dream freely. The metaphor becomes reality. International tensions rise. Nations that have embraced dream transparency view nations that ban it as hiding something, as potentially harboring collective intentions of aggression or deception. Nations that protect dream privacy view transparent nations as dystopian surveillance states, as cautionary tales of technology run amok. Both sides are partially right. The world divides not just along ideological or economic lines, but along cognitive ones, separated by fundamentally different approaches to consciousness itself. A research team in Geneva proposes a compromise framework: dream recording for medical and personal use allowed. Dream recording for employment, insurance, and law enforcement, heavily regulated with opt-in consent and strict data protection. Dream sharing on social media, permitted with robust verification that all people appearing in dreams have given consent or have been digitally anonymized. Dream playback technology, banned pending further ethical review and international treaty. The framework is elegant but proves nearly impossible to enforce. Technology moves faster than law. Then the breakthrough that changes everything. A neuroscientist in Sao Paulo discovers that the dream recording technology has a side effect nobody predicted. People who record their dreams extensively over months and years begin to exhibit increased neuroplasticity. Their brains form new connections more readily. They learn faster. They recover from brain injuries more completely. The mechanism isn't fully understood, but the effect is measurable and significant. Dream recording doesn't just capture consciousness, it enhances it. Suddenly, the technology is no longer optional for anyone who wants to remain competitive. Students who record dreams throughout their education outperform those who don't. Professionals who use dream analysis for problem-solving advance faster in their careers. Athletes who review and optimize their dreams improve their physical performance through better sleep quality and mental rehearsal. The pressure to adopt the technology becomes enormous. Even in cultures that value privacy and autonomy, parents feel obligated to record their children's dreams to give them every advantage. But the enhancement effect comes with a cost. The enhanced brains require more sleep, more REM cycles, to maintain the increased connectivity. People need 9, 10, 11 hours of sleep per night instead of 7 or 8. Society isn't structured for this. Work schedules don't accommodate it. The economy strains. Productivity paradoxically decreases, even as individual capability increases. A new form of inequality emerges between those who can afford the time to sleep enough and those who can't. The poor work multiple jobs, can't get adequate sleep, and fall further behind cognitively. The wealthy optimize their dreams and compound their advantages. Medical researchers race to find ways to achieve the enhancement effect without the sleep time requirement. Pharmaceutical interventions show promise but have side effects. Targeted neural stimulation works but requires expensive equipment. For most people, the choice is brutal. Sleep more and fall behind economically, or sleep less and fall behind cognitively. There's no good option. Mental health indicators decline across all demographics. A crisis point approaches. The technology is too powerful to abandon, too dangerous to use carelessly, too unequally distributed to be fair. International summits are convened. The United Nations attempts to draft a universal declaration of cognitive rights, establishing that all humans have the right to private thoughts, the right to unmonitored consciousness, the right to cognitive enhancement, the right to refuse cognitive enhancement. The declaration is beautiful and meaningless. Enforcement is impossible. Signatory nations violate it immediately. The situation grows more unstable. Some futurists predict a coming split in the human species between those who fully embrace dream recording and cognitive enhancement and those who reject it, creating separate evolutionary paths. Others predict a totalitarian future where all thought is monitored, from birth to death, where the concept of private consciousness becomes archaic. Still others predict a collapse of the technology, a societal rejection and return to the unexamined unconscious, though this seems increasingly unlikely as more people become dependent on the cognitive benefits. What nobody predicted is the emergence of a new phenomenon. People who have recorded their dreams for years, who have enhanced neural plasticity, who spend hours each night in recorded REM sleep, begin reporting something strange. They dream of places they've never been, but when they visit those locations, everything is exactly as they dreamed. They dream of meeting people they've never met, and those people appear in their lives speaking words from the dream. They dream of inventions, and those inventions are announced months later by researchers who never saw the dreams. The precognitive effect, initially rare, becomes common among heavy users. Scientists scramble for explanations. Is this quantum consciousness accessing probabilistic futures? Is it the sleeping brain making incredibly sophisticated predictions based on subconsciously processed information? Is it coincidence amplified by confirmation bias? Or is something genuinely impossible happening? Some aspect of consciousness that materialist neuroscience can't explain. The data is murky. The effect is real, but its mechanism remains mysterious. Some users begin to treat their precognitive dreams as guidance. They make life decisions based on what they see in sleep. They avoid situations that lead to negative outcomes in dreams. They pursue opportunities that succeed in the dream recordings. For some, this works remarkably well. Their lives improve measurably. For others, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the dream influences the waking behavior, which creates the dreamed outcome. Distinguishing between prophecy and manifestation becomes impossible. A religious revival occurs among some populations. If dreams can predict the future or access information beyond normal perception, perhaps they're divine communication after all. Ancient practices of dream interpretation return with technological validation. Prophets emerge, people whose recorded dreams consistently show accurate future information. Some are frauds using clever editing and cold reading techniques. Some appear to be genuine. Distinguishing between them challenges even sophisticated verification methods. Then, in a laboratory in Stockholm, the breakthrough nobody wanted. A researcher successfully plays back another person's dream into a sleeping subject's brain, and the subject doesn't just experience the dream, they experience it as their own memory. Upon waking, they insist they lived through the events in the dream. When shown evidence that the dream came from someone else, they experience profound disorientation. The implanted dream memory feels as real as any actual memory. After several hours, they intellectually accept the truth, but emotionally still feel the false memory as genuine. The implications are immediately recognized. Memory can be manufactured. Identity can be altered. A person could be convinced they committed a crime they didn't commit. A witness could be given false memories of events they never saw. A spouse could be made to remember a happy marriage that never happened. The technology for this is primitive, unreliable, but it works. Once it works at all, refinement is inevitable. Governments that were enthusiastic about dream recording suddenly panic. They attempt to restrict this new development, but the research is already public. The technique is complex, but not incomprehensibly so. Within a year, several groups replicate it. Black markets for memory implantation services appear. People pay to have pleasant memories installed. Others use it for gaslighting, for abuse, for manipulation. The legal system faces potential collapse. How can testimony be trusted if memories can be implanted? How can identity be verified if someone can be made to believe they're someone else? Defense attorneys argue that any memory-based evidence is now unreliable. Prosecutors scramble to find ways to verify the authenticity of memories. Brain scans show some differences between organic memories and implanted dreams, but the distinctions are subtle and not admissible in all jurisdictions. Counter-technology emerges, memory authentication services that use blockchain to create tamper-proof records of life experiences, verified through continuous monitoring. But this requires people to accept total surveillance, to sacrifice all privacy in exchange for authentication. Some choose this, many don't. Society fractures further between the verified and unverified, between those whose memories can be trusted and those whose cannot. A philosophical crisis develops. If memories can be implanted, are you still you? If your sense of self is based on accumulated experiences, and those experiences can be manufactured, what remains? The ancient ship of Theseus problem becomes immediate and personal. People question their own memories, wondering what's real and what might have been subtly altered. Paranoia becomes rational. Trust erodes not just between people, but within individual minds. Some embrace the possibilities. Why be limited to one life, one set of experiences, one identity? Memory implantation offers a kind of immortality. The experiences of the dead can be preserved and played back, not just watched, but lived. You could spend a night living as your grandfather during the war. You could experience being someone of a different gender, a different culture, a different species. If animal dream recording becomes possible, the boundaries of self become fluid. But the abuse cases multiply. A cult leader implants devotional memories, making followers believe they've had transcendent experiences that never occurred. An authoritarian regime implants patriotic memories, making citizens believe they witnessed atrocities by the enemy that justify any retaliation. Abusers implant memories of consent, gaslighting victims who know something wrong happened but can't trust their own minds. The weaponization of the technology is limited only by imagination and cruelty, and humans possess both in abundance. Resistance movements form, dedicated to preserving organic consciousness, fighting the spread of implanted memories, protecting the integrity of human experience. They operate like underground railroads, helping people escape situations where memories are being manipulated, providing authentication services, teaching techniques to distinguish real memories from implanted ones. The techniques are imperfect, based more on emotional resonance than objective verification, but they're better than nothing. Meanwhile, the cognitive enhancement effect continues to accelerate among heavy users. Some individuals now display abilities that border on superhuman. They solve complex problems instantly, learn new languages in weeks, perceive patterns invisible to others. Their dream recordings show increasingly abstract and mathematical content, as if their unconscious minds are processing reality at a deeper level. Some researchers suggest these individuals are evolving into something beyond baseline human, their brains restructured by years of enhanced REM sleep and recorded dreaming. These enhanced individuals face discrimination and fear. They're too different, too capable, potentially too dangerous. Some nations grant them special status, recruit them for research and intelligence work. Other nations require registration and monitoring, fearing what enhanced cognition might enable. A few nations ban the practice of heavy dream recording, though enforcement is difficult. The enhanced individuals themselves begin to self-segregate, forming communities where they can exist without constant suspicion, where their abilities are normal rather than threatening. The enhanced report something else. Their dreams are changing, becoming less about personal experience and more about collective patterns. They dream mathematics. They dream humanity's future. They dream in concepts that can't be easily translated to language or traditional imagery. Some describe feeling connected to something larger, a distributed consciousness formed by millions of recorded and shared dreams, creating a kind of noosphere, a thinking layer around the planet built from human unconsciousness made conscious. Religious and spiritual leaders debate whether this is enlightenment or damnation, transcendence or loss of the soul. Scientists debate whether this is emergence of collective intelligence or simply pattern recognition at scale, creating the illusion of connection. The enhanced individuals themselves can't articulate what they're experiencing clearly enough to settle the debate. They speak in metaphors and abstract concepts, their minds having adapted to process information in ways the baseline human brain wasn't designed for. Then comes the event that makes all previous concerns seem trivial. An enhanced individual in Mumbai records a dream and uploads it before dying suddenly of a brain aneurysm. The dream is reviewed and shows something impossible. It shows tomorrow in vivid detail, specific news events, stock market numbers, sports scores, weather patterns, conversations between people the dreamer never met. The dream is time-stamped and cryptographically verified as recorded before the events. The next day, everything happens exactly as shown. Skeptics claim elaborate hoax, but the verification is solid. The dreamer's death is confirmed. The timeline is unambiguous. Whatever this was, it represented perfect precognition of a complex, chaotic future that shouldn't be predictable. Researchers analyze the recording frame by frame, looking for clues. The dream doesn't just show tomorrow, it shows something else. In the final moments, there's imagery that can't be decoded, patterns that don't correspond to any known symbolic system, and a sense of presence, as if the dreamer encountered something during sleep that exists outside normal space-time. The recording becomes the most analyzed piece of media in history. Governments classify portions of it. Religions declare it sacred or heretical, depending on interpretation. Scientists build entire research programs trying to understand it. Philosophers write volumes about its implications for determinism and free will. And every person who watches it, who sees those final incomprehensible patterns, reports the same thing. They have nightmares afterward, nightmares of being watched. Other enhanced individuals begin reporting similar dreams. Not perfect precognition, but fragments, pieces of tomorrow mixed with something else. Images of themselves dreaming, as if they're being observed from outside. A growing conviction that by recording dreams, by making consciousness visible and shareable, humanity has become visible to something that was previously unaware of us, something that exists in the same space dreams occupy. The theory sounds like madness, but it persists across independent reports. If consciousness is quantum, if dreams access probabilities and information beyond normal perception, then making dreams observable might make consciousness itself observable to whatever else might exist in that quantum space. The recorded dreams might be a signal, a beacon, announcing human awareness to dimensions of reality we don't understand. Some researchers dismiss this as paranoid pattern seeking. Others take it seriously, begin investigating whether the dream recording technology creates a transmission effect beyond simple neural signal capture. The data is inconclusive but troubling. There are correlations between heavy dream recording use and certain anomalous experiences, shared dreams between strangers at impossible distances, synchronicities that shouldn't occur, and those nightmares of being watched, increasingly common, increasingly similar across unconnected populations. The question becomes urgent. Has humanity done something irreversible by exposing the unconscious, by making the private consciousness public and shareable? Have we changed something fundamental about our relationship with reality itself? And if something is now aware of us, something that exists where dreams exist, what does it want? The enhanced individuals have the strongest sense of this presence, this watching. They describe it differently, some as cosmic consciousness, some as alien intelligence, some as the awakening of Earth itself, noticing its thoughts for the first time, some as nothing human language can adequately describe. They agree on one thing: it's curious, it's learning about us through our dreams. And soon, very soon, it will respond.